December 25th, 2012, Tuesday. Dr. DeClute sat next to the hotel bed on a recliner. She watched over her living patient with a smile. Omni finally opened his eyes and looked around the room. "Where am I?" Omni asked. "Not in London," Dr. DeClute continued. "Your team insisted you be hidden until you were awake. They thought someone may try to attack you while you were out." "Then where am I?" Omni said as he slowly sat up and looked at his chest. His body looked normal, and there were no scars. "The Burj Al Arab in Dubai. It's pricey, but Cosmos gave me a stack of gold bars to pay with." "He's not supposed to do that." "I didn't want to use a card that could be tracked, and they treat gold as cash here." Omni looked around at the opulent room and commented, "A little fancy for a hospital bed. They wanted you to wake up to a nice view. Besides, who would look for you here?" "How long have I been out?" "Almost a whole day." "Where's my team?" "They're at Alpha," Dr. DeClute said. "I thought Alpha was destroyed." "They think they can have it all put back in a week. Cosmos keeps talking about making underground combat tunnels. Take a look at this view." Dr. DeClute held a remote and the shades opened, showing the view of the city from above. The bright light made Omni blink as he turned his feet off the bed and onto the floor. Omni looked down at the pajama bottoms that covered his lower body. "Where's my costume?" "Cosmos and Virtuoso have what's left of it. They said they'd have a surprise for you. I did have the concierge bring some clothes for you." Dr. DeClute pointed to clothes folded neatly on a chair with shoes next to the chair. "You just brought me in past reception?" "No, I just checked in alone and the team snuck you in. Did you know that Virtuoso can't teleport you?" "No one can, not since someone tried to teleport me into something solid." "That's a shame." "Isn't it? What happened to Vector and Stan?" Omni asked as his head started to clear more. "Stan's healer-induced youth faded and he's back at the nursing home. He asked that you visit when you're well." "I feel fine. And Vector?" "Darkspeed put one of She's swords through his heart before he teleported himself out. But if you don't have a body, you don't have a dead villain," Omni added. "Exactly. She said you had him in your sights while you were invisible, and you let him keep talking to Darkspeed. Why didn't you just fry him?" "I didn't think he could get away. It was an enclosed space with only one exit that I created a gravity well in. IQ was sure the device he made would keep Vector from jumping out. I didn't think he'd be able to hurt me." "Well, he did. He almost ended you. Remember, you taught him all problems have solutions." "That makes me the problem? Lucky for me I have friends." "You didn't answer my question. Why didn't you just fry him?" "Darkspeed didn't know when I would be coming. I had to see how he handled Vector. I had to know his heart was right. I would have thought you were sure about Darkspeed by now. Part of what I know about Darkspeed comes from Amunet. Nothing she ever said can be trusted now. Where's she at anyway?" "She's sedated in London. Arthur's waiting for you to decide what to do with her." "I'll just put her back where I found her," he said. "Where or when was that?" "She was about to be killed by her uncle for undermining his rule. That's where I'll put her. I guess time really is self-healing." Omni took his clothes in his hands and said, "Turn around." Dr. DeClute turned around and Omni started changing his clothes. Dr. DeClute looked out the window at the sunny city and blue water in front of her. "Nothing I haven't seen before. Remember the time you fought the animated lava monster? When you came out of the volcano?" Omni laughed and said, "Yeah, not much of my armor lived through that." "Much? You mean any? Did you know your costume was gone when you landed next to us?" "I really didn't." Omni kept laughing and finished dressing. "I thought Kodiak was going to die laughing," Dr. DeClute said. "I will miss his laugh. I love that man. I should have gone fishing with him when he asked," Omni said as he slowly came to stand next to her in the window. After a pause, he said, "You can see the palms from here. We lost Saber. I think that's why the kids wanted to come here. They went to see his family after we were settled in. Even Shroud went to say how well he fought. Saber showed real potential. I may have been wrong about what I said about putting that team together," Omni admitted. "Maybe not. Shroud has been called back to Israel. She won't be coming back to Alpha. Your kids saw her home." "They're not kids. They're alphas. Keep saying that. They're children being asked to be too much, and you know it. No one else can do it. It's too bad about Shroud. You know she'll end up in Mossad. If we decide to keep Alpha going, we'll need to replace her with another Israeli." "What do you mean, if?" Dr. DeClute said. "A second coalition's war is here, and it won't go away until Vector is dealt with," Omni said. We don't know when or where Vector will be. Until then, we continue with life, and with Alpha. Besides, I already sent out an invitation letter this morning. To whom? Zayed, Saber's twin. If he's like his brother, he'll be a good addition. Omni nodded and said, That sounds like a good pick. Dr. DeClute paused and then blurted, I'm worried about Olympian. No one his age should get as wet as he did. It's not healthy for a child to be at war. It's not healthy for anyone, Omni thought while staring out the window. Normally, I would have Amunut check him and erase memories if needed. Now who can you trust for that? And I'm wondering if the scars will make him weaker or stronger. Darkspeed told me about the conversation he had with Vector. She said to change the subject. I heard most of it. About his loving mother? Dr. DeClute asked with a sour face. You didn't tell him the truth about where you found him. I couldn't. Poor kid has enough to deal with. I'll tell him when the time is right. When will that be? When I have to tell him. I hope that goes well. Omni looked out into the distance and focused his powers. His eyes turned dark electric blue and energy crackled around his eye sockets. He let the light fade and continued looking into the distance. Feel better? Dr. DeClute asked. Sometimes it makes me feel normal. Merry Christmas, by the way, Dr. DeClute said. What? It's December 25th, Christ's birthday. Merry Christmas. Christ wasn't born on December 25th. He was born in the summer. That's one theory, Dr. DeClute said. It's not a theory, Omni replied. Dr. DeClute looked at Omni with a questioning look. Her mind ran back to something Virtuoso told her. Your team saw the time logs when they went to your... The logs you wrote stated you went for trips back in time. Is that true? I learned a lot on those trips. History truly does repeat itself. I hope you took all the trips you plan on taking. IQ and the other brains did some checking on the golden spike Vector killed you with. They guess you'll be invulnerable to time and artificial DNA weapons. That probably means no trips back in time for you. Omni didn't like the sound of that, but tried to be upbeat. I had a good run of it. How long did you spend in the past? A few years in Greece, a few years in Egypt, a decade or two in Rome. I hated the Aztec food. I think I've been everywhere. How old are you? How old do I look? Don't be smart. How old? About Stan's age. Amazing. So you know when Christmas was because you were there? Dr. DeClute asked. Yup. Did you see other religious figures? Buddha, Muhammad, Abraham? I saw Abraham from far off once. Buddha was not much of a talker. Muhammad was not what I expected, Omni said. Why not? I expected stern and serious. He was tall and beautiful. When he talked, he could wrap the crowd around his finger. I heard him address a crowd once about how 2 neighboring villages were fighting. He told them if they could learn to stand together, no one could ever make them fall. I think he'd have a fit if he could see how some of his followers treat each other today. I'm sure Christ wasn't happy with the Inquisitions or the Crusades, Dr. DeClute said. He probably isn't happy with my methods either. Did you ever see him? I'm a believer. Of course I saw him. I even learned to speak Aramaic so I could listen to his famous sermons. Did you ever speak to him? I tried. What do you mean tried? It's a funny story, I'll tell you. I was at one of his sermons and decided to talk to him. I could see which way he was exiting and made sure I was in the crowd he would pass. He came down the way I knew he would and I stepped in front of him to speak. Omni said and then paused. What happened? Dr. DeClute asked. I couldn't speak. It was like I was mute. I just stood there calm, relaxed, and mute. Then he looked at me and spoke in perfect English. Remember, English hadn't come about yet. Omni continued. He said, I know you have many questions, but now is not the time for you to ask. I will tell you this much. If you work tirelessly and sacrifice everything, you will reach the goal you seek. He walked away after that. Was that the answer you were looking for? Dr. DeClute asked. It was close enough. What are the goals you seek? I can't tell you. Why not? Omni smiled and placed his arm around Dr. DeClute. He paused as he looked outside and smiled even more. Thinking of how close he was to his goals made him happy. Because I can't tell you. Besides, a superhero has to know how to keep secrets, Omni said. Continued in Omni, CW2.